what is programming in the context of nutrition? Because you can program nutrition in the context of your exercise. Definitely can program for exercise. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. Boom. But if we don't measure anything, we can't expect to improve it. Welcome to episode 61 in the grand scheme of fitness. My name is Justin Schollard.
And I'm Ethan Wolf.
And we're your hosts, folks. The host with the most is, in case you don't know who we are, maybe you're just tuning in. We've been trainers, nutritionists for over 20 years. We've worked with thousands of people. I'm not being hyperbolic. We've actually worked with thousands of people. We've owned gyms together. At this point, Ethan has a studio in West Hollywood. I have a business online, but we're still very much involved and working full-time as fitness professionals. And we've come together with this podcast to just, really have some fun and hang out with each other and talk shop about fitness and nutrition and try to give you guys like the real street level advice that you probably have heard, but sometimes the way we hear things, I think it matters a lot.
Absolutely.
What we're going to do is just take all of our information and bring it to you guys. But today we're going to be talking about programming.
Programs.
So what is programming in the context of nutrition? Because you can program nutrition in the context of your exercise. Definitely can program for exercise. And, most folks just unfortunately don't do this. And they're really missing out on so much potential.
Absolutely.
So we'll break it down. You're talking about your client who you wrote a really nice program for. Who
this is kind of what sparked this. Yeah, basically, he wanted to ramp up his fitness. He was getting some results, and he was kind of buying in a little bit more. And so he trains with me twice a week, and he wanted to do 4 times a week because I think that's a nice sweet spot, especially for resistance trades. It's great. You get some nice couple options for some good splits and that kind of thing. So, but it is a little more nuanced, meaning that he trains with me twice, so those other 2 workouts are particular or specific in terms of...
He's got to do them on his own.
He's got to do them on his own, and they're balanced. They're going to be things that he will do that we will not do whatsoever because of the way the split or the organization of the exercises are.
Because when you're doing 4 days a week, and now it's like you have a leg day and a push day and a pull day, and then be like a full body day. And so, so he's on his own.
Lower body, upper body, lower body, or push pull. There's always ways to break it down, but fundamentally, one of those we won't participate with all. So we do like the hard things for him. So we do like a push day and a leg day. Mm-hmm. And then he gets to do like a pull day and like kind of like a single joint pump day. Yeah. But fundamentally, we don't do any pulling because it's a little safer, it's a little easier to access that you're on your own. But if he doesn't do that workout at all, or he doesn't do it as prescribed, then he's kind of missing this whole chunk of his body, this whole balance to the...
When I look in the mirror, man, I don't see my back.
I don't see my back at all. And the thing is that it's not that he wasn't doing a back day, he was showing up, but he was kind of using the workout as like a general guide to what he should do. So he was kind of doing different things every time.
Classic.
And just wasn't following this very specific program. Not that it was like fancy with bells and whistles, but this was a very specific program that I wrote for a very specific reason. Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, well, did you do the 4 sets of weighted chin-ups that I have as the first like blowout exercise for you to do? And he's like, no, I haven't done them yet at all. I'm like, this has been like 6 weeks we've been doing this.
Program's over, dude. I'm already about to write a new 6-week cycle. You haven't done it once?
Yeah. And so it just made me laugh. And I then, proceeded to explain to him the benefits and the challenge and the ask, and reminded him that it's there for a reason. I'm not happy you're using it as a guide, better than nothing, but you're missing out on so many benefits.
I there are so many years that I did not program, and it would just be like a general push day or a general pull day or a general leg day, and I would go in there and I'd be like, all right, well, I'm gonna try this time, and like, sure, that is better than nothing.
Yeah, you get a good workout.
You get a workout, like as long as there's some kind of structure, but I was also a trainer, so I had a little bit more knowledge than the average person, and so but you see it all the time. I mean, it's like, it's endemic in the fitness space where it's like people just go into gyms and they're just like, I don't know, yesterday I did this, so I guess today I'll do this.
I mean, in case you can't see, Justin's like imitating a curl and like imitating like what would be like a tricep push down. And it's really funny, like a recent newer client who came from working out but wanted to step it up. Same thing. I'm like, so what? Literally that exact thing. I'm like, what do you do on your own? He's like, I kind of like do these. imitating curls and like maybe some like of these.
Yeah.
Like no names.
Clue.
Like
I just saw some guy do it.
Yeah.
So
like,
I did it. You know, I think that like, it's like you go in and you're bouncing around. Okay. I think here's the issue. And in CrossFit actually taught me this, is like variation is important. We all agree, but I think sometimes people misinterpret that as random.
Yeah.
And variation does not mean random. Variation means, you know, there's going to come a point where your body is adapted and acclimated to a certain routine and you're not going to get the same stimulus anymore. So you're not really going to get any effect. So there's two camps, I think. There's like people who just do the exact same work. Some trainer 10 years ago printed out a 4-week plan for them and they've literally just done that for 10 years straight.
Bench press on Mondays for a decade.
And they're like, I don't understand why I'm not jacked. Like, and then there's the other camp that like they've never had it and they just like literally are just imitating people throughout the gym. And so on the one hand, we do need variety. We all agree with that.
100%.
On the other hand, though, we need consistency with a certain batch of exercises for a cycle, what we call like a mesocycle. And a mesocycle is somewhere between like 4 and 8 weeks typically, right? It could be 12 weeks, but like something like that, right?
Somewhere in that zone,
I like
100%.
6 to 8 weeks, somewhere around there. Anyways, so we want to hunker down. We want to pick a batch of exercises so that we can progress each week for 6 to 8 weeks or so within this framework. And this is programming.
This is the whole reason for it.
And so let's say I wanted to have bigger arms, but then like every time I worked out, I did a couple sets of these and then I get the barbell and I'm doing that. But I'm like, oh, that guy, he's got big arms and he's doing this thing. Let me try that. Let me do preacher curls now. And it's like any one of those are fine. But the problem is that the next time I go in, the next week to do the same arm workout, I'm like, okay, well, let me do this now. Let me do that. And so I'm just kind of like skipping across the surface of all these exercises. There's a lot of breadth, but there's no depth.
Yep.
And so programming creates a container where we can sit with these exercises for, all right, you're going to do 2 different bicep exercises for 3 or 4 rounds each. And then the next week, you're going to do the exact same ones. You're just going to add 5 pounds. And the next week, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to keep the weight the same, but you're just going to try to push for 1 or 2 extra reps than you did the week before. Then you just keep doing that for 6 weeks for all muscle groups. And that is programming. And that is progressive overload.
That is the backbone, is the progressive overload, is the witness of adaptation to what the stimulus is.
Yeah.
And it's necessary. And so it's either increase in weight and increase in volume. And it's like those achievements in performance are the key thing. They motivate you, it gets you psyched up, and then you also know that the programming is effective. You know, you can tell the accuracy of your work in terms of its effect versus, like you're saying, when you're bouncing around, you have all this breadth, you don't really know, are you performing better on that curling exercise if you go from a machine to a cable to a barbell?
You haven't done it in a month, so how do you know?
How do you know? Exactly. They're all effective exercises, but if you don't repeat them week after week, you don't really know if you're getting any better at them. I'm sure there's something happening, but when you can document it, see the difference. No, you went from 10 push-ups to 15 push-ups in a month. That's factual progress that is undeniable. There's no way around it.
Totally.
And it takes out the guesswork. You're like, oh, am I improving? Well, it's like, as long as you are in some way improving your numbers or improving your volume, improving your weight or your volume, you know it's working.
It doesn't have to be complicated. I think everybody's just like, what? Deer in headlights. Like, I don't know. Like, literally, it could be pulling notes in your phone open and just, okay, let's just say that this applies to conditioning as well, but for the most part, we're speaking kind of mainly on like strength and muscle growth, but this also works for like cardio and conditioning, but let's just keep it in the context of like strength because it's just easier to understand.
I would agree.
So let's just say, okay, I got 3 days to work out. That's it. Okay, cool, no problem. Let's just say we're going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Great. We're going to do a push, pull, leg split, the most basic structure of all time.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a couple ways you could do it. I think we can talk about like different ways. You can do 3 full bodies just fine. You can do, upper, lower, or upper, lower, full. Like there's a lot of different ways, but let's just say like we're going to do a push, pull, leg. You can literally just take a notes folder out and you can just write push day 1. And then just pick a chest exercise, a shoulder exercise, and a tricep exercise. And then maybe at the end, you want to throw in a little burnout for biceps so everything gets hit twice.
Yeah, but truly, I mean, it does, like, they're all good movements. You just have to do them over again.
Like 5 sets of bench press, 5 sets of shoulder press, 5 sets of tricep push downs. Great.
Yeah.
You got something. And then every week you go in, you open up that note folder and you just, right next to the bench press and right next to the shoulder press, right next to tricep push down, you just put how many reps you did. Oh, last week with 135 pounds, I did 12 reps. I'm going to try for 13 this week. Okay. That's progression. That's a program. the most basic, but it's a program, you know, and you're going to get better results doing that, as basic as that is, versus every time we come into the gym to do a chest workout, you're just skipping to this machine, to that machine, to these dumbbells, to this, and you're just like, there's no measurement, there's no tracking.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I overcomplicate things myself. I mean, I was just reading about Brian Shaw, who's this giant behemoth of a man. He's, you know, one world's strongest man. He's like one of the biggest humans ever. He's like 350 pounds.
Not
like,
the mountain guy.
No, he's akin to the mountain, though. He's like another version of the mountain. He's just like a giant human. But I was looking at his workout, and it was literally like standing overhead press, dumbbell incline chest press, close grip bench press, cable tricep push down.
He literally just went vertical, incline, flat.
And then a single joint exercise. Literally 3 pushing exercises and 1 tricep exercise. That was his workout. Like 3 to 5 sets of each.
And that really just speaks to like
and this is a professional strongman athlete. Like
who's
a
monster.
Who's a monster. His whole career, this is what he does. This is his profession.
But that's the thing, is because advanced people master the basics.
100%.
Because like everyone's like, oh, shoulder press, like basic. It's like, you know, if you're shoulder pressing like 45 pounds, pretty basic. But if you're shoulder pressing 250 pounds, that's a real skill.
Yeah, you're
scary.
Like, you're going to throw people around.
4 sets of like 8 at like 250 pound shoulder press, like watch out for that guy.
100%.
Like that is a dangerous man.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I think about programming as kind of like a roadmap of like, if you're just wandering around without, you might even have like a compass, but if you don't have like a map of like the direct, like where you're supposed to be going, you might travel distance. You might put in some foot equity or whatever.
Sweat equity.
Yeah. And you also might get to your destination, but it might be way less efficient. It might take you a lot more
You're
wandering.
hitchhiking, you're jumping on trains,
you're going the wrong
walking
direction for a few miles, you're going over here, you backtrack.
You get lost.
Yeah, whereas like I feel like a program is like this very efficient roadmap that puts you on a trajectory that says you go this place, then this place, then this place. Yeah. And by the end of your 48 weeks, you've arrived at a destination in the most efficient way possible, which is being more fit. And I think also we were talking about pre-show, it also holds you to like a standard. Because same with Justin, like there's so many years where I just didn't do a program. I would get a kick-ass workout in. But man, and I was saying this to my client, I was like, as soon as I started doing programming, the results came so much faster. I couldn't believe it. And it was even in my performance. Like, I'd go from like doing 20 push-ups, so all of a sudden I could do like 40. And I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Because that was just part of my workout, was like a burnout set of push-ups. And every week, I would test my maximum
especially
push-up.
with calisthenics, I noticed, like, if you just do burnouts, like, all right, just go one set of chin-ups, one set of max push-ups. It's like, wow, like, it's just happening. Like, I'm not feeling the need to stop until I'm 20-30% more reps in than I was last week. And like, it's almost like when you do that, the adaptation comes so naturally. Like, bench press is such an easy example, but it's like, if you're just sitting there under the bench every single week and you're pressing it, you just do more reps. Like whether your intention is to like, all right, bro, I gotta fucking really push hard this week. Like, that doesn't even have to be your mindset. It can just be like, I'm just going to do my best today. You will find 3-4 weeks in, you're cranking 4 or 5 extra reps out. Like, and that might not seem like a lot, but that is probably a 50% increase in output than week 1.
100%.
And now multiply that over 4 different 8-week cycles over the year, and
crushing it.
5-10 years later, it's like, that's how you put on 30 pounds of muscle, the right way.
100%.
But it's like, that's just the thing. It's like, you don't even have to really try. You just stick, you just keep showing up in the same thing over and over again. Like, you just get better.
Yeah.
You just get better at it.
100%. And I think it's like also things like, look, we're all busy as adults, whether you have families or your job. And I think like efficiency of time is a big complaint or thing that I don't have time to exercise. And time is always precious and time can be scarce. But if you've got a roadmap and you know exactly what to do, and it's week 3, 4, or 5 of 6, and now you kind of know this workout well, you're going to be able to go in and bang it out as efficiently as possible. You're not going to be wandering around. You're not going to know what equipment you have to grab. You're not going to be like, oh, well, what should I do now? It's like, no, I'm going to do my bench press. I'm going to do my flies. I'm going to do my lateral raises, and I'm going to get out of here, whatever it is. And so I think it's one thing, it's like efficiency of time just goes through the roof, especially.
And also mental capacity, not having to sit there and think about it when you're tired at the gym and stressed because everyone's already there and it's busy. You're like, oh,
right, decision fatigue. Yeah, it's like you're done from work. Exactly. Like, you didn't get to you forgot your afternoon snack. You're extra hungry. You're already bothered. And now you're like, your brain is going off. It's really interesting. I was reading about decision fatigue, and it's actually like a chemical process in the brain. And so basically, I wish I could remember exactly what chemical, but basically when we make decisions, there's like a byproduct, a neurotransmitter sense, that gets flooded and our neurotransmitter gaps where all the actions happening gets flooded with this neurotransmitter byproduct, basically one of them, from making all these decisions. And so like decision fatigue is literally our inability for our synapses to fire and catch the decision making neurotransmitters because it's bogged down with all like the secondary products.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same idea as like ATP or glycogen in your muscles.
Exactly.
Like it's just we have a certain level of energy in our brain, and like once that shit's gone,
but it's like literally not even like the glucose. It's like because of decision making. And they say it's like sleeping is where it clears out. So if you don't get a lot of sleep, it doesn't fully clear out. And then caffeine is the thing that like basically blocks that. It's the same thing that kind of makes you tired.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I read this. I read a similar article as well.
So
where
caffeine
it's like
blocks
as soon as you wake up, your body starts producing this chemical, and kind of once you hit critical mass, then you get tired.
Yes, exactly. And so so decisions increase that same chemical and block it. And so the whole thing with the caffeine crash is the caffeine wears away, it all floods in, or you're not getting enough sleep to clear it out. So you still have like leftover in your brain, and you wake up and you already have trouble making decisions, and you're already tired because you haven't cleared out. So I think it's just like in a certain sense preserving our mental capacity and our efficiency.
Totally. You sit there for 20 minutes and you just write down a super like whatever days you can allocate for exercising.
I just go
you
online.
can probably get
Chat GPT.
Yeah, honestly, I've tried. Honestly, it's a.
People have given me some. I mean, I think for a basic workout plan,
basic stuff. I don't think it's quite there yet. Like, trust me, if it was, I would recommend it. But like, I've been toying with it because so many of our clients like travel for summer and so I'm like, all right, well, let me just see if I go somewhere. And like it's fine, but then like it'll just throw some weird shit in there, or it'll be really redundant. Like like there was one where it said it was 5 workouts I was trying to get going, and it gave me marching glute bridges in every single one of them, and I'm like, can we do something different? He's like, oh, thanks for catching that. You're right, that is redundant. Here's what we're gonna do instead. I'm like, okay, it's just not quite. I mean, it could be there for some people. Like I think certainly,
but there's also 1,000 programs for free. I mean, they're everywhere. You just search out like basic weightlifting program, basic bodybuilding. Totally. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of them, but like taking 20 minutes or 30 minutes every 6 weeks to like just, or even like once a month, if you can even think about it that way, like for the next 4 weeks of my life, here's what I'm going to do at the gym. And then just get in there and do your best. And then just at the end of the month, sit down for 30 more minutes and just write another one out for you. And the thing about it too, is that what I know is right behind the camera right in front of us is we're in my office / little home gym, which is just our spare bedroom. But like I have a squat rack, I have a bench press, I have dumbbells, a pulley system, super basic shit, but it's enough.
Oh yeah.
And when I write my programs out, as I'm finishing up like week 5 or week 6, I'm already starting to think of the next one. Like, okay, like, here's what I liked about this last 4 weeks. Here's what I didn't like about it, and like, as I'm working out, I'm like pulling my computer out and I'm like kind of starting to take notes. And I noticed this pattern where around the same week 5, week 6, there's just, without not even being intentional, I just start to anticipate the next one. I'm like, I'm sick of this now. Like I've been doing this for 6 weeks already. Like I'm kind of getting bored with these exercises.
Yep.
And I'm already like, we haven't done that in a while. Like because when you're working out, you're thinking more creatively, your endorphins are running, you're in the flow. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. I haven't done this. Oh, I should try that. And I start jotting things down, and I just like brain dump, just not like creating a program, but just brain dumping exercises that I want to do.
Things you could choose.
Yeah. And then I had like this list of exercises that I haven't done in a few months, or that I just haven't done in a long time, or I just really like. It just feel, even if I've already done it, it just feels good, and I still feel like I'm getting a good workout from it.
Exactly. Yeah, you feel the goods from it.
And so then I'll just brain dump this whole list of exercises, and then at the end of that 6 weeks, just organize them and put them in the next cycle, and then boom. And so you find that you get yourself into this rhythm. Just got to get that first one out of you, even if it's the most basic thing you've ever written, like we were talking about, like incline press, shoulder press, and tricep push downs. But that's a start, because then you do that for 6 weeks, and then you're going to be like, oh, okay. Well, maybe instead of tricep push downs, I saw this one guy doing them overhead, where he was pulling them over. That looks pretty cool too.
Yep.
And you start to build this autonomy. They start to build this like repertoire of exercises that you become familiar with, and it's the catalyst to just creating more dynamic programming for yourself as you go.
And it's also, I think, it can give you something to attack too. If the more intentional, like if you start getting this a little deeper, you can start to attack things and challenge weaknesses. Because let's say you have a rotator cuff or a shoulder injury in the past, and you should probably include some type of rehabilitative exercise, some external rotation. It could be one set twice a week. Like, yeah, one arm, single dumbbell squat snatches.
No, single barbell snatches.
Exactly.
We used to do that shit.
We used to do that shit. But it's very easy to overlook those things without a program. But if you know, like, I know I need to do it for my shoulder, and I just like kind of have been like not putting it in my program. But I know if I put it in my program, I'll do it.
Right.
And this next program, I was like, my shoulder definitely needs a little love, and so I'm going to put it in. And so I think it's also just a way to like hold us accountable for things we need.
For sure.
Especially if we witness it. I was also noticing like my lower legs, I think, are weak, and I went through this phase once, but I'm back at kind of looking at the shadows, and I'm like, okay, I need to like put some training in my lower legs. And it's very easy to kind of not include those things because there's a million things that we could do with our body. I could do training for splits or sprinting, whatever. And so I think it's also a way to kind of, one thing I took away from CrossFit, right? It's like laser in on your weakest link. And then just dominate it. And then find your next weakest link and then just dominate it. And in that capacity, I think that's how these CrossFitters get so incredibly fit, is that they leave no stone unturned, but they take these dedicated periods to master a movement or an exercise or an area of strength. And I think that programming kind of gives you that. It's like back to that compass of like, okay, if I'm aware that my lower legs are not where I want them to be, I can just I put it in the program and then look the other way. Versus if I just kind of float around, or, it's just like a way to create structure and what we might need versus easy to kind of placate ourselves sometimes.
Totally. And like, it's so true. It's like a form of accountability, because it's like we can all claim ignorance if we don't directly acknowledge something. Yeah. We're using this in the context of fitness, but it's not much of a stretch of the imagination to apply it to pretty much every aspect of our lives. Yeah. Where if it's like, I need to, I really want to improve this thing, when we write it down and then we schedule it and we're faced with it, to not do it now is deliberately choosing to not improve. But if you never write it down, you don't really acknowledge it, you can still kind of like, there's plausible deniability. We can be like, like I just haven't thought about it yet.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it.
But yeah, I mean, like, obviously, my arms are 10 feet long. Putting mass on them has always been a challenge for me. But I got in this really weird rut where I was like just throwing 3 sets at the end of a workout for arms. Classic. And for a lot of the guys, that would be plenty. Like if you did a back workout and you just kind of finish out with like 3 sets of curls.
Yeah, like the shot workout. Yeah,
like it'd be fine for most people. But for me, I'm like, even there was a time I took a picture and she was just like, "Wow, babe, your arms look so skinny." And like, if you ever want to just like destroy a man's world,
to deflate, just like gut him from under the
skinny.
Balls.
You mean lean, right?
You mean lean, sharp?
No, skinny.
Shredded.
Yeah, thin. Like skinny. I was just like, that's it. So then like I bumped it up to like 6 sets per exercise. And then I put arms in front of all of the stuff.
Yeah, while you're fresh, yeah.
Right. So pro tip, if you want to improve a muscle group, train it first while you're fresh. Don't wait till the end of your workout, like.
Yeah, it's common to do the big stuff first, but.
So anyway, so that's what I did. I put like 5 or 6 sets of biceps and triceps at the front of all my push and pull workouts for 8 weeks or so. And then Tanya was like, "Wow, babe, your arms look bigger."
I was gonna say, I could see a difference in your arms for sure, 100%.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Because
I look in the mirror, I'm like, I look the same to me, but but it's nice to get that external validation.
You look less skinny.
Yeah, you look. Yeah, your stomach doesn't look skinny anymore. Oh, what was my stomach you were talking about? What does it look like now?
Oh, shit. I had a client who's also super tall. I mean, he's like 6'6", I think. Jeez. And working out 6 days a week, so working out a lot, but we were doing like push-pull legs. And, he was looking great, but his arms needed a little more juice. And so I gave him like a dedicated arm day, like a full hour arm blast, like no few sets. And he was like, that did it. Like, because we were working out arms, but similar, increasing his volume, but always like within a workout. And so I kind of flipped the script and gave him a pure arm day, and like not even like single joint with like some glute bridges, just like pure arms and shoulders, all single joint. And his arms just blew up from it. And he was like that. He's like, I'm seeing my arms get bigger finally. He's like, they've never grown.
Yeah,
and so it's just funny, the volume. Yeah,
it's just
simple volume.
It's like the classic case of like here like just fundamental principles, right? Like people who say, I've dieted and I don't lose weight, you just haven't dieted enough. You just haven't brought your calories to the point to where you're in a calorie
enough. You haven't reported
opposite side of that spectrum. Oh, I'm a hard gainer no matter what. Trust me, there is a point where you will eat enough calories where you will put on size. And if you haven't put on size yet, sorry, dude, you just haven't eaten enough calories yet. And that might be 4,500 a day.
Dude, yes.
You know, and like, especially if you're like a young guy in your 20s, like it could very well be 4,000, 5,000 calories before you're like, oh, I'm finally putting on weight. But trust me, from a guy who's done this, I was at 4,800 calories a day for 6 months.
That's intense.
Gross. I wanted to vomit every meal, but like that's what it took when I was 20 years old, you know?
And that's like, what it took for him. I think he took like 47, 5,000. He was like, I have to order 2 dinners. Like if he goes like tender greens, he's like, I have to get like 2 dinners at a time.
It's brutal.
He finally just started his cut for the last like month, 6 weeks. But
anyway. And then also like if you're training regularly like this, like your client, but like there's a muscle that's just lagging, which we all have. Like I can do like 4 sets of squats and have huge ass that I can't even button my pants. But I'll do 10, 15 sets of bicep curls and nothing changes. I'm just like, what the fuck? But you know, there comes a point with volume that like eventually it's going to reach that critical mass point where it's like you're eating protein and you're eating a calorie surplus, or at least at maintenance, and you're training like that. You're gonna see some results.
And it's such a good example because if you just kind of kept going without changing your program or giving a focus to it, you might have just continued down the road, you know? The same with like other client, but paying attention to what you need, changing your program, committing to those changes.
And then tracking progress. Hop on the scale every morning. Like if your goal is to put on size or even to lose inches, like just do before every 6 to 8 week cycle, just do a belly button circumference around your waist, upper arm, upper thigh.
Yeah.
Maybe shoulders and chest, but like just do that once every 8 weeks and then see, did that 6 week cycle do anything for me?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it didn't. All right. So let's either do something different, train harder, adjust diet, which is usually almost always the case, right?
Yeah, but it's still though, it's like if your arm grows 1/4 of an inch in 2 months,
that's huge. That's a lot.
That's a lot. Or, you know, but you can, it's that measurable. And now you can kind of see how it all ties together. It's like you have your training programs. You can use that for your body composition goal posts, you know, take selfies and pictures and measurements. And, you know, especially with the phone, like we all got notepads now. Like I remember watching guys with their little book, writing every workout down by hand, writing every set, every rep, every weight, because they didn't have smartphones with notepads. So imagine like this, you know, like the modern day conveniences are all around us.
Plus there's like a gazillion apps that just do it for you. You know?
I mean, so it's like we have less and less excuses. You know, we have more and more time probably in a lot of ways than we used to.
Yeah.
Less stress. So,
well, episode 61 on programming. I hope that
programmed.
Get you guys motivated to like actually just start writing your shit down and tracking your numbers. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. But if we don't measure anything, we can't expect to improve it. Measurement comes in the form of like writing how much weight you're lifting in certain exercises, how many reps you're able to do at that weight, how many calories you're consuming, how many grams of protein you're eating, and then measuring the outputs of that, of like your morning weigh-in on the scale, your measurements around your legs. And if you're not doing at least a few of those basics, you're unfortunately probably going to be like the people we talked about in the beginning of the episode that can spend years training and just not really see any
You're still wandering around the forest.
Yeah, you're just like
still lost
you're moving, but you're kind of just you're zigzagging and you're not really getting anywhere. You know, that same amount of effort can be channeled and directed and get really great results. And so I highly encourage everyone to just at the very least get a notes folder, go on their phone, and just write some basics, and you'll really see humans have a really hard time seeing numbers and not wanting to improve them. If you're having money issues, look at your bank account every single day.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Look at it every single day. See where every one of those expenses goes. I guarantee you'll see improvement. Okay, team, we'll catch y'all next week for episode 62. Peace out.
Peace.